Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, a prominent 19th century American poet, once said, "Lives of great people all remind us that we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time." He believed that the contributions of those who are great illuminated the lives of others for generations and generations. I think that life-changing people affect us in the following ways. They teach us something, demonstration. They make us important, connection. And they give us something, impartation. So how do life-changing people teach us? They teach us something about ourselves. They show us something that we didn't have the capacity to see, something that was hidden in plain sight. They recognize and call that thing forth from out of us. They model a virtue or quality for us. They exhibit a way of being that is noble and inspiring, something that sets them apart in a way that we can see, and it inspires us to live in a similar fashion. Finally, they teach us about how the world works, through lessons learned, experiences had, and wisdom acquired. Through their lens, we experience a rich view of life, a view that transforms the way we think and see all that is around us. Here's a way to think about this. Someone who teaches you something could be a mentor. As a functional schema, the word mentor brings experiences or ideas to mind for us. We all know what a mentor does, but a lot of us don't actually have mentors. The work of Christine Comaford points out that 76% of people think mentors are important, but only 37% have one. So what does that mean? In a room of 10 people, 6 people don't have someone to aspire to be like, someone to guide them, someone to point out their potential. And if you scale that number higher, what does that mean for our teams, our communities, our cities, and our countries? On the topic of connection, how do life-changing people connect with us? They ask us questions that most people don't. They perceive the tiny details that make us who we are and place importance on them. They recognize the things that others miss, problems in our lives, in our communities, or in our nations. Not only do they see those things, they act upon what they see, for the good of one and for the good of many. Lastly, they make time for us, selflessly and tirelessly. They give much of themselves and spare no resources to care for us. There's a well-known story about a reporter for Esquire magazine who was assigned to interview none other than Fred Rogers for an issue about American heroes. His name was Tom Junod. At the time, Junod was a controversial reporter. He had a history of writing unsavory pieces about other celebrities and about dark topics. The idea of Tom Junod getting assigned to interview Fred Rogers was probably the last thing that he anticipated. Unsurprisingly, Fred Rogers agreed to the interview, even though his camp strongly advised him not to do so. By the time Junod was done writing the story, he had become close friends with Mr. Rogers. In an interview with Time magazine, Junod expressed how Mr. Rogers recognized that he was going through a moment of transformation after losing trust in himself. He said, "That's what Fred saw and sort of decided to work on in his own inimitable way." As Tom Junod saw, life-changing people notice things that others miss. Finally, on the topic of impartation, what do life-changing people give to us? They give us their trust and committedly believe in us, even when no one else will. They give us opportunities, the kind that we don't deserve, the kind that challenge us, and the kind that we didn't know we need. They give us things that mean a lot to them and things they know will have great value to us. The author, Stephen M. R. Covey, who penned the book, The Speed of Trust, illustrates two starkly different paradigms of trust: non-existent and world-class trust. In the organization, non-existent trust creates dysfunctional environments and toxic cultures. It leads to intense micromanagement, redundant hierarchy, and painful systems and structures. In personal relationships, it creates angry confrontations and bitter withdrawal, defensive posturing and legal positioning, the labeling of others as enemies or allies, and verbal, emotional, and physical abuse. Conversely, in the organization, world-class trust leads to high collaboration and partnering, effortless communication, transparent relationships, aligned systems and structures, and engagement. In personal relationships, it brings about true joy, loyalty, purpose, and security. Now, I want you to think about this. Who is someone that has changed your life? Who came to mind? We often think that someone who is life-changing would be a historical figure or highly esteemed public figure. But that's wrong. Oftentimes, they are our mentors, friends, peers, teachers, and even strangers. Somehow, ordinary people tend to be the ones who create disproportionate impacts. How can we be life-changing for those around us? It starts with humility. Humility allows us to look around and see that we are surrounded by people who have the capacity to change our lives. It opens us up to their impact. Humility is followed by responsibility, the recognition that there are people whose lives can be indelibly affected by the way that you live. Ultimately, it ends with an answer. Because the people who are life-changing answer the call to impact at the personal level, the local level, the national level, and the global level. Their answer is yes. We have to understand that the people around us are shaped by the people who answered that call. In our interconnected world, you don't live for yourself. Your actions towards one can affect the many, and that impact extends farther than you could possibly imagine. So what if that was your conviction? Whose life could you change?